How's it going, folks? I'm Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. Today I want to talk about the attention economy. It's a big deal. I've been affected by it personally, and I see it affecting a lot of other people. It's a very popular thing ever since around the pandemic, Me Too movement, and TikTok becoming a really big deal. Victim mentality. Now, we definitely have to change a few things. There definitely are some evil patriarchal issues within parts of society that are hard to ignore when you look at it close enough, but sometimes you have to have the right set of eyes to look at it. There's definitely, in some areas, a patriarchy, and it is freaking horrifying for any of us who don't know what it looks like or don't have the right eyes to see it. I've only seen it a few times when it was pointed out to me. But if you're just a regular type of normal individual who just wants equality for everyone, you don't see it. But moving forward, we have a lot of people who need attention, who lean on being a victim in order to get attention. And I'm not really sure what's up with that. It's heartbreaking. And I've had relationships ended because of it. People bringing things up. And I have had to learn how to deal within these situations for self defense reasons. I was accused of certain things a few times, and it was heartbreaking. Now, when I looked at the math of how I got accused of these things, I realized that there was generally just a little twist of reality. And recently, there's been your reality and their reality. Within the narcissistic debate, you hear a lot of people talking about, well, that's my reality and that's your reality. But what was absolutely mind blowing about this situation, absolutely mind blowing, is that there's a third reality too. Reality of how things actually are. Not your reality, not my reality. And I'm sorry, but what really bothers me about this is it took one of the internet's number one foremost doctors who understands narcissistic personality disorder that there's this third reality. And the rest of us who came from 1999 is just like, yeah, it's the regular reality. What's amazing about this is if you called someone out on their shit, they'd be like, this is my reality. If you don't like it, then you're abusive and you're gaslighting me and you're a narcissist. It's as if this codex of rules came down for society. This codex of rules that start off with victimhood and then leads to you calling your opponent a narcissist and then goes to, oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting really bothered by this. Anybody who says something that you don't remember, that you don't agree with, then they're gaslighting you. This codex of rules came down. And as I'm looking over these rules, game, bet, figuring this stuff out. You were a victim because this, and this. Okay, alright. I was a victim because this, and this. And you victimized me because of this, and this. And at the end of the day, I just want to get back to 1999, before there was a victim Olympics, before there was an attention economy. One of my a girlfriend that I had recently, she was like, "Is it okay if I get on TikTok?" Because she knows I hate TikTok, and I was like, "Yeah, go ahead." And she starts swiping, and she's a very progressive girl, and there was a piece on self harm. Sorry, I have a big issue with self harm, a huge issue with it because I have loved a lot of people who have had issues with self-harm, with cutting themselves, with suicide attempts, and it's a really big deal to me, and it goes directly to my heart. I am very sensitive about it. And this girl, she was just swiping, and she got on to a group that just threw around self-harm like it was nothing. Yeah, I had these issues. I was self-harm. I was cutting myself. I was attempting suicide. Like, just throwing these things out as if they were discussing the color of their nails over tea. I can't handle that stuff because this is a really big freaking deal. Trauma dumps. Just back that truck up and just dump that stuff out. It's like, wow. Wow. I mean, at least back in the day with TV and video, there was a bit of a build up for some of this stuff. You got to build up before you got the dump. But holy hell, when you get on some of these social media platforms, it's just right out in your face. I'm looking at you, TikTok, specifically, because nobody brought out the narcissists, the NPD, all of this stuff, quite as bad as TikTok. And what's amazing, what is freaking amazing about TikTok is at the same time when all of this started, governments of the world start shutting it down because they find out it's directly attached to the CPP, the Communist Party, the guys at the very top. Now, this isn't conspiracy theory. This was a really big deal. Now, I totally understand why a lot of people I totally understand why China would do this to us because well, number one, China is really rough on its own people. I'm complaining about the CPP, not the Chinese people. The Chinese people, I really love them. I really like Chinese people. But anyways, the governments of the world were finding out that it was directly attached to the CPP. And now that time has gone on, we can say that. At first, we couldn't say it because the people that knew weren't supposed to have the information. The people at top levels of the government weren't supposed to have that information or anything like that. And what's really fascinating about the whole thing is TikTok would give people all of your information. They would give China all your information, your location, what you're doing, like all kinds of stuff. And at the same time, TikTok was pushing the idea that if your spouse, if your loved ones wanted this information, automatically made them narcissists, automatically made them bad people, and you were a victim. Now, I can understand why China would want to push this on us, this opiate of sorts, because of the opium wars. The colonists, maybe even the Americans, got China addicted to opium so that they could bust down the wall. China had kind of their own iron curtain. They didn't want the foreigners to come into the country. They didn't want these new ways. They were happy with everything they had. They were an ancient society that had figured out their own ways. And no, it was the tea. It was the tea. And the British really wanted the tea because tea was like oil to them. Follow me here and check me if you don't believe me. They needed oil. Tea. Tea was like oil because if their sailors didn't have tea, they would get scurvy. Tea was such a big deal. I think it was just vitamin C that they needed in the end. It was such a big deal that there were flagships, like huge, Enterprise class ships, that were simply abandoned in some situations and left adrift simply because the entire crew got scurvy. And many died. Now, scurvy is really rough. You get scars reopening if you don't get like your vitamin C. If you don't get this stuff, you just flat out die a horrible death. And if the British didn't have their ships, then they couldn't control the world, right? So where do you get the tea? China. China has a lot of tea, lot of tea. So they went over there and they busted China up. Lots of opium, And now that's why Taiwan's a thing, and now that's why Hong Kong is a thing. Um, and that's your history lesson. But yeah, they got opiate over here with us, with TikTok. And I've watched it destroy relationships. I've watched it wipe out relationships. This victim Olympics, this this economy of attention. Now everyone wants attention, and you have people that are flat out coming out as homosexual just because they want attention. And are they? Sometimes yeah. Most of the time, yeah. And you definitely get some people just doing it for attention. And like, come on. At the end of the day, we both see it. We all see it. Like I've come out as bisexual, uh, so that I could debate many of these folks openly, because there was recently a time where you could not have a debate with a homosexual, bisexual, LGBTQ individual unless you were one of them. And hey, I've had weird feelings about things that I've seen, and gentlemen that I've seen in certain situations, and it made me feel really creepy that I'd have feelings about it. So yeah, hey, you want me to throw that creepy card on the table? Yeah, I've had attraction for men in really strange situations. So there, that card's on the table. I'm one of you. So now we're equal now, right? Right? So now we can have a conversation about this stuff. But seriously, it's amazing what some people will do for attention. It's amazing. And you really see people doing it on TikTok. You really see people doing it on social media. And I think it's going to look really bad for a lot of us in about 50, 75 years, where people have their trauma dumps and whatever. But yeah, the attention economy, it's a really big deal. It's a really big part of the internet these days, and I can't wait till we get over it, because it's destroying relationships, it's destroying friendships, it's destroying marriages. I think a lot of people need to heal and get over it, not just sit in it. But sometimes, legitimately, some trauma is almost impossible to get over. And while I am so sick of the victim Olympics, we have to admit that there are some really dark things out there. There are some really harsh, tragic events out there, but at the same time, I generally find the darkest things and the darkest people don't talk about this stuff. And they sure as hell don't post it on social media. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But this Victim Olympics, it's a big part of the internet. And that's why I'm talking about it here. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. Not from that stack, but take care of each other, please.